Okay, y'all thought the center armrest was cool, but you haven't even seen the half of it. All right, so check this out.
People in the top 1% of wealth in the United States buy this truck, the Ford F-150, more than any other vehicle in the world. Why? Because this truck is heavy enough to qualify for a Section 179 deduction. This means that if they use the truck in a trade or business, they can deduct the entire purchase up to a cap of $1,040,000 in that given year. Usually, when you buy a car, you have to depreciate it, which means you can't reclaim the cost of that asset in 1 year. But thanks to Section 179, they can deduct the cost of this car in that year against their income taxes. It is huge tax savings and an incredible little loophole. The reason millennials are the poorest generation is actually the same reason most entry-level jobs require you to have like 3 years of experience. In 2008, the economy crashed right when most millennials were graduating school. They were between 27 and 12 when 2008 struck. At this point in time, a whole bunch of incredibly experienced people lost their jobs and had to go looking for work somehow to feed their families. These people, industry professionals, were going and applying to entry-level jobs. So what we're left with is a pool of incredibly qualified job candidates with not enough jobs. And so the requirements went up and the pay did not, because they accepted whatever they could get. The Great Recession left an entire generation overqualified and underutilized.
What's a mistake you learned the hard way that you can now help people to avoid?
If you make less than $72,000 a year, do not pay anyone to file your taxes for you. Look up IRS Free File. The government will file your taxes for you absolutely free. So I use this hack with my credit card that I thought was kind of common knowledge, but I'm realizing that not a lot of people know about this. Side note, Nick is awesome. Go follow him if you haven't already. He's a CFP, gives fantastic advice. So I have this card, which is the Capital One Saver. And I like it because, it makes that sound. But at the same time, it gets me 4% back on all of my purchases when I go out to restaurants. And I like this because I go out to eat a lot with my friends. And instead of splitting the bill and annoying the waiter or the waitress, I just pick up the bill. Because in the world of Venmo, they can just get me back that way. The difference is that if we go out and rack up a $200 meal, suddenly I've just made $8 and paid for half of my meal. Working as a quantitative researcher or a quantitative analyst for a hedge fund is probably one of the most coveted positions in asset management in general. Here are some things to hopefully get you started. First, become well-read on portfolio theory. We're talking about Scholes, Merton, Black, Sharp, Fama, Miller Modigliani, and Markowitz. Read risk-return analysis. There's my recommendation. Next, risk management. Have a good understanding of what it takes to actually control and measure risk in investing. Next, you should be good at math. You should probably have a master's or maybe even a PhD. We're talking linear algebra, calculus, statistical analysis, machine learning, probably some game theory as well. And then finally, you need to be a programmer. So you need to know R, Python, and possibly how to use REST APIs, and then probably VBA because people still do work in Excel. Hope this helps.
What insane stat lives in your head rent-free?
More money flowed into the stock market in the last week than any week in history. We're talking $58 billion. People pulled out $11 billion in cash and $800 million in gold. High yield bonds, also called junk bonds, which are the bonds of incredibly risky companies, had their yields hit one of the lowest points in history. What does this mean? It means that people are loaning money for incredibly cheap to incredibly risky companies. Is this the peak? Is the stock market going to go down from here? I can't tell you. Bank of America is saying that yes, it absolutely will. They're expecting a 9% decline. Analysts are starting to get onto this boat, so we're paying attention. Regardless, stocks are becoming much more risky.